Hi, I'm astrologer Penny Dix, and welcome, Aries, for your astrological overview for the year 2026. And that is for the Sun in Aries, or if you have your rising sign, also known as your ascendant in Aries. Aries, you are going to be the star of the show this year. Because we have this significant movement of both Saturn, the planet of limitation and timing and structure, conjoining with Neptune, the planet of illusion and confusion. And they are both going to be at the 0 point of Aries. This is your first house. This is on your ascendant. This is unprecedented, and I cannot say much more about it other than this is big. Now, let's then, in that case, unpack this a bit, because it's easy to get carried away with the rhetoric which myself and many other astrologers have been dishing out over the months about this famous conjunction of Neptune and Saturn in Aries at 0 degrees. But I think in general, this is going to be for you a year of identity rebirth. I think you are going to find you have a better sense of being able to take responsibility for you, your well-being, where you're going, and what you intend to do. Remember, you're a cardinal sign. You are a fire sign. You are ruled by Mars. So you are courageous. So if this aspect was happening in some of the other signs, they may be a little bit more, a bit wary of this energy. But Aries, you're the sign that'll say, I'm ready for this, bring it on. And because, you know, one of the things that this can really promote for you is spiritual awakening. It will bring really bold new beginnings. And the month of April in particular is going to be very powerful. And of course, some of you have your birthdays in April. So let's just have a look, because if you have a personal planet like your sun or your moon, your ascendant, your descendant, and even your IC or your MC, the midheaven, at 0 degrees of Aries, and in whole sign astrology, then that is the actual configuration, then these points are going to be really triggered by the Saturn-Neptune energy. So how is it going to feel? How is it going to affect you? And what effects it going to have on the rest of the year? Well, let's look at Saturn in Aries first of all, because it's going to be going from 0 degrees to 17 degrees throughout the whole of 2026 with some retrograde action. It's about deep self restructuring. That's you restructuring you. It's about discipline, maturity, and taking yourself very seriously. Building long-term sense of identity. It's like, this is who I've become, and now I know who I am, and this is how you are going to experience me. You might find there is a pressure to step up, to show up, to be more authoritative and grounded, in spite of you not being an earth sign. But this transit of Saturn and Neptune, and Saturn in your sign and Neptune in your sign, it's going to color and shape the whole year of 2026. In fact, it's going to color and shape a generation. And let alone what it's going to, or the impact it will have on the rest of the planet. But if you want to hear about that, go to my overview for 2026, which is just the general overview of all the transits that we can expect with the bullet points and how to navigate them. And that's for everyone. And because the signs like Aries, Taurus, Gemini, etc., I'm doing separately. And these will be uploaded. Probably I'm going to batch video and batch upload. So what about Neptune? And what about the combination of Neptune and Saturn? Well, Neptune is a dissolving energy. It'll soften your old identity. So any hard edges will be rounded and softened. I think you will find your intuition and your sensitivity is absolutely, the frequency is tuned to a very high degree. You may find you experience spiritual awakening and a much more awareness of your ego and feeling quite uncomfortable with wearing your ego and using it less and less. Because I think Neptune here and combined with Saturn is going to clear out old illusions, clear out concepts you've had about yourself which just don't apply anymore. You are really going to have a huge desire for authenticity. It's a subtle energy, it's an ongoing energy, and it's powerful. So when are they actually going to be conjunct? Well, they're actually exact on February the 20th. So what can we expect leading up to that? Well, January is quite a packed full month. We are going to be feeling these energies as the various planets get into position. And we're going to have, of course, Neptune will be at the anaretic degree of Pisces for a while before it moves into Aries. And Saturn as well will be at the anaretic degree before it moves into Aries. Remember, Saturn moves more swiftly than Neptune. So Saturn is going to overtake Neptune. But it really is, if we think about this collectively, and especially for you, Aries, I don't know how I can underline it anymore, but this is big. I would be so surprised if I talked to an Aries at the end of 2026 and they go, nothing much happened, same old, same old. I don't see that. I can't tell you individually where you might experience the transforming or the change or the potential ending or new beginning. I can't tell you that. You have to come to me for a reading so I can look at your personal transits and the point in your chart that is being triggered by this aspect. So if you do know your rising sign, then that's going to give you a little bit of guidance, but it can't be as accurate as a personal reading. And you can always get hold of me through penny@pennydix.com and contact me and we'll arrange a meeting. So what we have, not only is this the end of a approximately 36-year cycle when Saturn and Neptune were last conjunct, which was actually in 1989 when the Berlin Wall fell down. So that should tell you a lot about the kind of restructuring that can happen. That was in Capricorn. So now, of course, they are both in Aries. And it also means it's the beginning of a 36-year cycle before they meet up again. I have done some research and I haven't discovered, unless someone out there knows better, a time when Neptune and Saturn met at the 0 degree of Aries before in our history. That is how big this is. How is it going to affect you personally? Because the world is going to change this year in 2026. It will. Well, it's a little bit like you decide to upload a new program into your hardware or into your computer programs, your software, in your inner software. You will want to, you will go through a lot of significant changes. I suspect that you will go through a letting go process of old ideas, old dreams, things that don't really suit the current narrative of who you've become, who you are becoming, and where you want to move forward to. So that really what this energy is doing is it's getting you right at the core, right at the very core of your being. And if you don't have a strong core physically, you better make sure you've got a strong core psychically and on a soul level. If not, by the end of this transit, you will have. But I think this is a transit we want to embrace and not have it acted out upon us. But it's going to reset your whole identity. So that's taken up a large chunk already of this video, because it is going to colour the whole of 2026. Now, the other interesting thing, or one of the transits that we're going to experience with both Saturn and Neptune in Aries, is they're both going to be at various times sextiling Pluto in Aquarius. Now, Pluto in Aquarius is your 11th house. So this is your long-term goals. It's your long-term dreams. It's the community at large. It can also be where you might think to restructure your identity and purpose in connection with your long-term goals. And where you will see through Saturn's energy, helping you manifest the dreams that Neptune represents, you will experience a maturity on an inner level that empowers you to understand and connect with the timing of events and to know that timing is key. Your long-term vision through Neptune's lens will be amplified as it sextiles Pluto in your 11th house. Now, these aspects, I want to just point out some key months. We've got March, we've got February, July, November. April is another really big month, but the sextile is mostly February, March, July, November. I think that you will change quite profoundly through this energy, to an extent that people are going to notice. You won't have to say anything. You won't have to perform. You won't have to say, hey guys, look, I've changed, I've grown, I've matured. No, we will all notice it and we will respect it. And it will be freeing for you and incredibly refreshing and energizing. So what else have we got going on? Because we've also got to talk about Uranus. Because Uranus has been in your 2nd house of finance, and it's going to move from your 2nd house finally to your 3rd house of communication. You had a taste of Uranus doing this in your 3rd house towards the end of 2025, and then it went retrograde and it went back into Taurus. It doesn't go direct till February the 4th, a lot happening in February. And then it will actually move into your third house of communication, Gemini, on April the 26th. So it's also going to be making a trine to Pluto in Aquarius. So we've got a lot of action from these outer planets. And I've not gone into the inner planets in any great depth because we will deal with those as we go through the year. Otherwise, this video would probably be about 12 hours long, an hour for each month. So I've saved you that. So Uranus is going to trine Pluto. It'll be exact in July because it goes in, as I said, it goes into Gemini on April the 26th. And it's going to be, what you've got is you've got these two great big outer planets. Pluto, the planet of transformation, in Aquarius, which is the sign that Uranus rules. I just think that's interesting. And then you've got Uranus that is also about technology and communication and shocks and the unexpected. What are we going to see develop? What might you invent? What might you really change in the way that you work and communicate, especially to larger audiences and groups? So you've got these two planets, as I say, Uranus in Gemini, Pluto in Aquarius, both in air signs, both harmonizing. This is revolutionary developments in communication. So, what else do we have? So, I also want to talk about Chiron, because you've had Chiron in your sign for a long time. Chiron is a very slow-moving cosmic object. And it's also, as you know, it represents healing, wounds, trauma. Chiron is known as the wounded healer. Chiron is going to go into Taurus for the first time since 1977. And that's in June. And that's a really big generational shift. And that's another thing. If any of you Aries people have babies this year or grandchildren this year, then they're going to have the most extraordinary natal charts with some incredible transits. Very exciting. They're obviously a meant-to-be generation. I think when Chiron moves into Taurus, which of course is your house of finance, you could experience wounds around self-worth. And this may be due to the enormous change that Neptune and Saturn are putting you through subliminally. And you may feel insecure at times. You may find your stability is a little bit wobbly. And, you know, Chiron is going to be here till at least 2033. Now, the next energy we need to talk about is Jupiter, because Jupiter is in your fourth house, Cancer. So it's been bringing its wonderful, vibrant, beneficial energy of luck and good fortune into the home, into family, into your emotional foundations. Some of you may find that you are relocating whilst Jupiter moves through Cancer. It will certainly change in some respects your living space. I think you can experience a deep emotional growth through Jupiter's passage through Cancer. And you're going to feel that you really want to keep in place the connections you have to family and roots. It's going to become, I think, more important. There's a sense that you will want to, you know, expand your sense of comfort, safety, and security. And it will be really important for you to be living in a place where you feel you belong. So if you're currently in a place where you don't really resonate or don't really feel you belong, you may well move whilst Jupiter stays in Cancer. And remember, it's going to go into Leo, into your 5th house in June. And this is going to really fire up your house of creativity, joy, romance. Fun is going to be the order of the day. And you're going to want to just enjoy things like art, drama, music, anything creative, and any way that you can express yourself in a creative way. I think you will feel a sense of relief once Jupiter moves in to Leo after what's been quite a full on and maybe quite heavy in some places start to the year. But this is a wonderful energy if you want to date, if you are of that, age where you meet someone and have a lovely relationship. Can bring children. If you want children, they could certainly appear with Jupiter in this part of your chart. It's also going to enhance your self-confidence. And so that where you may feel a little bit restricted by Chiron's entry into Taurus, which has kind of held back your self-worth, then Jupiter's move into Leo is just going to open things up and you're just going to feel a lot better about yourself. It's like your courage and fire will come back in full force. And I think that it's going to be a very positive transit, having Jupiter go through your 5th house. Now, there is an important opposition, which every sign is going to experience. And this is basically how it's going to affect you, because Jupiter from Leo in your 5th house is going to oppose Pluto in your 11th house. Pluto, the planet of transformation, of beginnings, of endings. It's exact on July the 20th, but this is going to be a loose, ongoing opposition for a little while. And you have to think about the fact that this is the expansion of power meets the power of expansion, but it's an opposition. Oppositions cause tension. It's as if Jupiter in Leo is trying to push you that next level to achieve something on a grander scale in a sort of group, larger group community forum, and in the sense of putting you out there to be seen. I know it's not on the midheaven or in the 10th house, but it really does feel as if you're being pushed out there to be seen. And you may be resisting that and going, oh, no, I don't think I can do this. This is too much. Trust the energy, because what Saturn and Neptune have been giving you since the start of the year, Pluto and Jupiter are saying, listen, we wouldn't give you this opposition if you weren't ready to handle it. It could also be extremely productive. This is where it pulls out of you truth, your authenticity, and your ability to transform and empower others. So this year we also have 4 eclipses, and the nodes are going to shift from Pisces into Aquarius, that's the North Node, and from Virgo into Leo, and that's the South Node. Now, if you take your focus back to February, and March, because these are both very significant months this year. Just be aware of it and watch the weekly Astro Witters and the midweek Witters, and it'll fill in the gaps with what you need to be aware of. And there will be more condensed videos about these big transits, because we can't let them out. We can't ignore them. They have to be given, a platform. So on February the 17th, 2026, we've got an annular solar eclipse. So that is a new moon. Now that's the first one in Aquarius, and it's at 28 degrees and 56 minutes. So it's just tipped in to Aquarius. So, of course, this is your 11th house. So the nodal axis is moving from your 12th house and your 6th house, Pisces and Virgo, into Aquarius and Leo, your 11th and 5th house. This is really going to be quite a game changer, because it's away from service and hard work on an inner level. This sees you connecting out there. This is where you get a chance to really see and sense the bigger picture and embrace it. March the 3rd, and remember, sandwiched in the middle of these two eclipses, the 17th, the new moon annular solar eclipse in Aquarius, and March the 3rd, a total lunar eclipse, that's a full moon, and that's in Virgo. We have the 20th of February, when we have the Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees of Aries, the beginning of the zodiac. A whole new era is born. These eclipses are not there by chance. And there will be a sense, I think, of relief that comes with that March the 3rd. Something leaves, something goes. Something has to go. It's beyond its time. Now, the next two eclipses are in August. Now, we've got a rather exciting new moon total solar eclipse on the 12th of August at 20 degrees and 8 minutes of Leo. And this is the first eclipse in the new sign of Leo, which, of course, is your 5th house of creativity. And this is a total solar eclipse, which is really lovely, because this means the whole sun will be covered by the moon. And it's actually going to be visible over Northern Europe. And it's going to be, I think, absolutely exact over parts of northern Spain. And by the way, the other solar eclipse, the February the 17th one, is only visible in Antarctica. So I don't think, unless we're all off down there, we're going to see it. Now, there's a partial lunar eclipse on August the 28th, and that's back in Pisces, but only at 4 degrees and 51 minutes. So this again makes August a month to pay attention to. So Venus goes retrograde in Libra. This is also worth mentioning, and that is through the whole of October into the end of the second week of November. It will retrograde back into, hang on a minute, doing it the wrong way round. It's going to go retrograde, and it will be in Scorpio, and it will go back into Libra, that's it, and then it will go forward into Scorpio at the end of the second week of November. Got there in the end, didn't I? And so we will talk about that nearer the time. But remember, this is Scorpio, which of course is your 8th house. So that's sex, death, beginnings, endings, birth, transformation, transitioning. And that is going to be something about dealing with things that have got to be dealt with, like pension pots and investments and joint finances, or legacies and anything to do with wills and that nature of things. And then it will go back into Libra, of course, which is your 7th house of relationships, significant relationships. And that could bring people back into your life who bring in maybe some much needed support at that time. And it gives us a chance to reflect on everything that is unfolding. But the second half of the year is not as dramatic, shall we say, as the potential of the first half of the year. But let's just have a look quickly at the themes before I bring your Aries for 2026 reading to a close. Identity rebirth. I think there can be a spiritual awakening, but it's grounded by Saturn. Letting go of old roles. Building new foundations. Very much a new life chapter will begin. There'll be a big focus on home in the first half of the year. And then the second half of the year, the focus moves into joy and creativity with that Jupiter's move from the 4th house into the 5th house of Leo. Relationships take or hit major turning points. And that's always good, because when we reach turning points, we gain growth. So that has to be good. And the other thing is that it really is about stepping into your maturity and authenticity. Aries, it's incredibly exciting for you. And if I could give you one sentence, I'd say 2026, and I've got it written down, otherwise I forget it, is a year where you shed an old skin. You rebuild your identity, face long-awaited truths. You'll emerge stronger, wiser, more creatively alive than you have in years. Thank you so much, Aries, for joining me for your 2026 overview. Remember, if you would like to know about the transits for you personally, do get in touch with me at my website, pennydix.com, and email me at penny@pennydix.com so that we can arrange a time to meet. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out the overview. I will put the link in the description box, because that gives you another kind of way of looking at what is happening this year, for the year of 2026. And this really was the tip of the iceberg, but hopefully it'll give you a little bit of a heads up as to how to navigate what's going on for you this year. Okay, thank you, Aries. I really wish you a very prosperous, happy, lucky, fortunate, and healthy and wealthy new year. Take care. Bye for now. Bye.